Phase 4 of the MCU is officially complete, leaving us with 7 movies, 8 shows, not counting I Am Groot, and 2 special presentations. So let's take a step back and rank every project from the worst to the best. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Sandbox. In case you're new here, we talk about all sorts of things on this channel, from films and TV shows to sci-fi and fantasy books, and we would love to have you on board so that we can all talk nerdy things together. The MCU is one topic that I love to explore and I can talk about at length, but given how many projects there are in Phase 4, I'm going to be focusing most of my thoughts on the 2022 projects today. I did put out a ranking for those 2021 projects, which you can check out right here, but I'm just going to be sharing my brief thoughts on those, so if you want to have a better understanding of my stance on them, do be sure to check out that first video. With that said, let's not waste any more time. Here's my ranking, starting with the bottom. And so still at the bottom for me, I have What If and Eternals. What If was a fine idea that just wasn't executed as well as it could have been. The forced crossover finale was fun, but also a bit trivial with an already connected universe. Eternals, on the other hand, was a great attempt at a more serious story within the MCU, an epic that covers thousands of years within its mythology, but with too big of a cast and too slow of a pace, it's hard to fall in love with this one right off the bat. It's got a lot going for it that I enjoyed, but also a lot in there that I didn't really want or even need. Moving on to the last project taking place within my C tier is going to be one of the biggest letdowns amongst the 2022 projects, Thor: Love and Thunder. This was a hard one for me to place in relation to Eternal, so I have to consider expectations and the rewatchability factor. Love and Thunder definitely did not meet my expectations, unlike Eternals, which came in a bit above, but again, it's kind of unfair since I had sky-high expectations for it after Thor Ragnarok. However, rewatchability-wise, Thor 4 is certainly shorter and snappier. It's something I could put on in the background and share a laugh with every now and then, but that also leads to my biggest problem that I have with it. Eternals struggled with finding a good balance of serious, epic storytelling and its ability to make me care. While going into Love and Thunder, I already cared a whole ton about its characters, and yet it chose to be super hyper-focused on trying to make me laugh that it just felt like the movie didn't care about its own characters and didn't expect me to either. That's not to say that there aren't any genuinely great and emotional moments in here. There are, but similar to Thor Ragnarok, it sacrifices some of that emotion for the sake of a throwaway joke, and it just takes it to an uncomfortable level.
Oh, look at that! Those things are beautiful!
Cancer, death, revenge, purpose are all very serious, dramatic, and emotional themes to employ in a film, and the way that Love and Thunder went about them was just wasteful and shameful in my opinion. I still love Thor's character, and I think this film does serve a purpose within Phase 4's overarching themes of passing down the torch and dealing with grief. However, I think it's time to move on from this version of the character and find a new iteration for the next 2 films. Kicking off the B tier is our first series within 2022, Ms. Marvel. Going into this one, I really wasn't expecting to enjoy it. I love coming-of-age stories, but I struggled to strike a chord with this story based off its initial marketing. However, after the first 2 episodes, I was pleasantly surprised. It felt like Marvel knew what it was doing with this character and the show, but then it tapered off, giving us the most forgettable villains of the phase, if not of the entire universe, and turning a local coming-of-age story into a globe-trotting adventure before hastily returning back to its roots within a rushed finale. For me, the end result is an incohesive, more immature story, which is hard to care about and feel invested in, given all the other stories within the MCU. I still really enjoyed Iman Vellani as our lead character, and I loved me some Bruno. However, everything else is gonna need to work harder to captivate me within Season 2. Filling in the next couple of spots within the B tier are Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Black Widow. Overall, these were B-tier attempts at being globe-trotting political thriller hits that the Captain America films greatly succeeded at. I think both of them suffered from subpar villains, with Taskmaster's debut being a tad underwhelming and the Flag Smashers not being nearly dangerous enough to apply sufficient stakes for Sam's and Bucky's story. Now, I still loved some aspects of what they were both able to do. Black Widow gave us one of my new favorite characters within the MCU, Yelena Belova, and the Hawkeye series only cemented that for me. And Falcon and the Winter Soldier definitely propped up Sam in a flattering light to be the next Captain America. However, it did leave much to be desired for Bucky's character, in my opinion, so I'm hoping they can utilize him better within the Thunderbolts project. Next up, taking the number 11 spot, I have Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This was an especially hard one for me to place, and it pains me that I have to put it so low, but this is just one of the many Phase 4 projects that didn't reach its full potential for me. Things I liked about it: 1, getting to traverse the multiverse despite the very minimal universes that we actually visited. Number 2, the horror vibe and the setting with a Darkhold corrupted Scarlet Witch. Elizabeth Olsen knocks it out of the park and certainly was the scene stealer of this movie. Number 3, the visuals. Another Doctor Strange film that explores unique storytelling devices and uses impeccable visuals. This one is just a ton of fun to look at, and I'm finding new things every time I rewatch it. Number 4, the supernatural aspects that were incorporated really got me excited for the future of the MCU. I think they held back a ton of what they could have done here, but I really enjoyed what we did get with the numerous monsters and zombies Strange. Number 5, the Illuminati. Despite all the haters online and the many reasons to maybe hate this sequence, I still love it, and I'm looking forward to seeing more appearances and iterations of this team. However, my biggest gripe here with this film is that we know the MCU wants to incorporate all these supernatural elements. They've already brought in Moon Knight, they've brought in Elsa Bloodstone, and we know they're bringing in Blade and potentially Ghost Rider very soon as well. We could very well have a Midnight Suns team in the MCU within the next 2 to 4 years. But who would they fight? Why are they essential? Perhaps Agatha or whatever new coven she creates with her show could be their first big villain, but as of right now, there's no reason to bring in all these characters, and adding in a villain later after they're all set up just comes off as lazy and convenient for the story, in my opinion. And besides, tossing in another story thread for fans to have to follow and keep up with, probably not the best idea as of right now, given how much Phase 4 has been struggling with all its other story threads. And that's why Doctor Strange 2 was a bit of a letdown for me. It set up quite a bit, but could have set up more while incorporating all of the other story threads. If there's any character who is pivotal to both the cosmic side, quantum realm side, and the horror supernatural side, it's Doctor Strange. And yet this film felt more like WandaVision Part 2. Something extraordinary that this film could have done is shatter the multiverse in ways similar to Spider-Man No Way Home, where they cause a rift, or maybe monsters start leaking in from other dimensions, and the essentialness of supernatural heroes would make sense. They could have opened a portal to another dimension, and Strange could have been left stuck there with no way out until America Chavez learns to fully control her powers. There's just so much that this film could have done, and I'm sure it's gonna pay off. And coming back to this after the end of the multiverse saga, I bet this film just feels better, but as of right now, it feels like an incomplete story, so I can't put it up any higher than this. Which leads me to the last project in the B tier, another show that I did not expect to enjoy, She-Hulk. What can I say? My expectations were at an all-time low, but unlike many haters online, I gave this one a fair chance like I try to do with all the rest. And this one consistently had me excited, waking up Thursday mornings for a new episode. It was mellow, it was funny, silly, goofy, and I just enjoyed the hell out of it. No, it doesn't push the envelope in any way other than the fourth wall, but that's what She-Hulk does. That's who she is in the comics. Her team up with Daredevil had me beyond hyped, and I just hope that we get to see her share the screen with Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool in the near future, because that would be a hilarious duo. In terms of writing, this isn't the strongest show, but I don't think it was the weakest either. The courtroom aspects could have been more intertwined within the story, so I'm hoping they can up the ante in season 2 or whatever project she's in next. However, I enjoyed this season, and if I was skeptical, its finale certainly won me over with its meta-breaking, self-insulting final moments. Now, making fun of your writing doesn't technically make your writing better, but it's a start for some of these Disney Plus shows. Moving on to the A tier, we are kicking things off with the better half of the Disney Plus shows with Moon Knight. I adored this show, and while it still suffered a bit with its plot choices and rushed finale, I thoroughly enjoyed the journey. Oscar Isaac crushed it here with some of the best acting within Phase 4, and Ethan Hawke's Arthur Harrow served as a suitable villain for the hero's first MCU outing. Again, there are some clunky scenes and moments of dialogue here, as well as odd decisions to cut to black during some of the show's most gruesome and raw action scenes, but the intrigue and mystery that this show builds throughout it, while telling a very real and emotional story, earns it a spot in the A tier. But coming in above Moon Knight, I have Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. To say hopes were high for this Ryan Coogler sequel would be a huge understatement, even considering all the difficulties and heartache surrounding the film and its production. The passing of Chadwick Boseman certainly raised the question of not only how to continue the franchise, but how to honor his name and legacy within the MCU, and I think they did as good of a job as they could have done with this installment. Yes, it's not perfect, but this film is very in line with the themes of Phase 4, including grief and the passing of the torch. I think some projects did it better, but the balance within this one was so raw and unforgiving that the emotional weight really packed an unforgettable punch. Again, the film struggles like many other ones in Phase 4 with having to juggle continued storylines and introducing or setting up new ones. But I think Ryan Coogler delivered a powerful film whose pros certainly outweigh its cons. And given all that he had to deal with for this film, I would certainly recommend throwing his name into the hat for the director that has to handle Secret Wars. One more thing before we move on. Namor, perfect. I really hope this isn't the last we see of him. I hope his role becomes pivotal later on within the political scope of the MCU, or perhaps even the mutant side of things. He's a great character within the comics, and Tino Huerta, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, definitely proved that he has the chops to carry a film, in my humble opinion. But filling in the rest of the A tier is going to be WandaVision, Loki, and Shang-Chi. I loved all of these for various reasons. I thought WandaVision was the best week-to-week experience of any of the shows, and I just loved how invested and interactive the community was then. And while I was fretful of the Loki series, the show certainly won me over with probably the best story of the shows so far. But Shang-Chi tops them all within the A tier. It was just so perfectly fun and action-packed. It really brought back those Phase 1 vibes for me. And it certainly gives me faith in Mr. Cretton for having to direct Avengers: Kang Dynasty. Moving on to the S tier, we already have Hawkeye and Spider-Man: No Way Home. Basically every Disney Plus show had at least one episode that lulled the overall story for me, even the great ones like Moon Knight, WandaVision, and Loki. However, Hawkeye was the one show that didn't. I was truly captivated from start to finish, and I just can't wait to see these two on the screen again, big or small. And as far as Spider-Man: No Way Home goes, well, I don't think I need to explain myself. But as for the other two S-tier projects, I have Werewolf by Night and the Guardians Holiday Special, the two special presentations from Marvel in 2022. And these are so close that they're basically tied for me. However, I do think that knowing the characters within the Guardians special beforehand, plus its better pacing and more comedic elements within it, does give it the advantage here. I'm so excited to see Volume 3 this year, and I loved Mantis' reveal as well as the new original song, Christmas Time Is Here. Werewolf by Night, on the other hand, had me stoked for the supernatural side of the MCU, and I loved how different this project was. But again, I really want to see the essentialness of the supernatural. I think this project did a better job of that than Multiverse of Madness, but I'm still looking forward to understanding the why behind it all. I love spooky and scary things, definitely more than most MCU fans. However, I still want to see it serve a purpose within the overarching MCU and not just be there to check off some box. But that's it from me. Let me know your list down in the comments below, and let me know if I have any hot takes in here. I honestly don't know. I haven't been paying too much attention to the people online because, you know. And let me know your thoughts on Phase 4 as well and how you would rank it with the other 3 phases so far. But as for now, that's it from me. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will see you all next time.